I've been living in Cyprus for 5 years now, and I made hundreds of videos of living in Cyprus, taxes, relocating here, and one of the best performing videos is the living costs in Cyprus. However, this video is about 4 years old, and so I wanted to make a 2025 remake of this video, and believe me, it will surprise you how much living in Cyprus costs you nowadays. Hey everybody, it's Rico, and in this video I'm going to talk about the living costs in Cyprus, and let's start with food and groceries. And the good thing is that I have very accurate data because I've been using Revolut for many years now, and I never use cash here in Cyprus because you don't need it, so I know exactly how much I spend for what. Over the past 6 months I pay on average every month 731 euros for groceries, and this is without restaurants. And recently I actually came to the conclusion that it makes most sense if I do one weekly grocery shopping. That means I go to Lidl every Sunday and I'm buying food for the whole week. Last week I paid 106 euros, and this should last for a week for 2 people. Well, 1.5 because it's me and a girl that doesn't really eat much. And so logically that would lead to at least 424 euros per month on food and groceries. However, sometimes you obviously buy things that you don't buy every week. Let's say washing liquid, coffee beans, other appliances, and so my actual spending is 731 euros on average in the past 6 months for food and groceries. And I think that is actually a pretty accurate number for most people. But obviously this depends on each individual person, how many people live in the household, etc. What I find ridiculous is that there are some items that are definitely overpriced here in Cyprus. For instance, fruits. Let's take blueberries for example. They are ridiculously expensive. I've seen 200 grams of blueberries for up to 8 euros in certain shops and kiosks. In Germany I remember this was maybe 1,50 euro. Also water. I pay 10 euros every week for a few bottles of water because the tap water in Cyprus is unfortunately undrinkable. It literally tastes and smells like chemistry. So yeah, food and groceries are not really cheap here in Cyprus, I would say, especially if you compare it to Central Europe and you would think Cyprus is cheaper. No, not really. But for me personally, I will never go budget on food. I still buy organic food, a lot of fruits and vegetables, the good potatoes, the good meat, whatever, because I prioritize health over almost everything. And this leads us to the next thing, which is restaurants. And this is very interesting. And for whatever reason, I actually pay more money in restaurants every month than in the grocery stores. I just love eating outdoors way too much. But I also have many friends and business partners that I regularly go out eating food with. And so I actually see it somewhat of an investment, especially if I discuss important matters and just want to maintain my relationships or close business deals. Anyway, on average, I pay about 891 euros and 33 cents per month in restaurants. And let me tell you, you really feel the inflation when it comes to that. A normal visit in a normal restaurant with one main course and a glass of wine for 2 people costs you at the bare minimum 50 euros nowadays. In any decent restaurant. And if you want to go to a more fancy upper class restaurant in Limassol, let's say, you can expect at least double that. I've seen and paid bills for 2 people in fine dining restaurants up to 200-300 euros. The only way nowadays to go cheaper than 50 euros for 2 people is if you go to a local kebab place where you get some meat in a pita bread and then you can, maybe pay 25 euros. But I don't know if this is really comfortable to sit there or have a takeaway food. It's literally a Dönerbude, as we Germans would say. So again, it really depends on you, what your lifestyle is, what your expectations and standards are. Next is properties in Cyprus, and that is renting and buying. And let me tell you, for both, the prices literally exploded in recent years. But let's talk about renting first. When I first moved to Cyprus in 2019-ish, I remember we lived in a 3-bedroom penthouse with my 2 business partners back then. Fully furnished, nice view, good location. I would consider it A to B plus location. And we paid 1,000 euros per month. Today I'm living in a house in literally the mountains of Paphos, which is literally C location, and I'm paying 1,100 euros per month. Yes, okay, you can argue I have my own house, but still it was a penthouse in Limassol. The cheapest property I personally rented in Cyprus so far was actually in Chlorakas, which is a few minutes down the road down there. It was a 2-bedroom, also fully furnished apartment slash house, like semi-detached, with a 180-degree sea view, communal big pool. I will show you some images now. And the monthly rent 3 years ago was 470 euros. But let me make it clear, you will certainly not find a deal like that nowadays. I actually asked my landlord for what she's renting the exact same property nowadays, 1050 euros. So within 3 years, the rental prices in Cyprus have more than doubled. So if you're relocating to Cyprus in 2025 and onwards, let me tell you that you need to calculate with at least 1000 euros per month if you want to rent a somewhat decent property, apartment. You might get a house if you're lucky, but you have to be really into looking properties, work with agents, look yourself in the Facebook Marketplace, on the Bazaraki website, etc. But 1000 euros is what I would say is the bare minimum in order to get the property that is kind of modern, running water, and the doors are actually functioning and not destroyed. Because don't get me wrong, you can certainly still find somewhat of a property for 500 euros per month, but first of all, the demand for such properties are extremely high, so they will go off the market very fast, they are rented out very quickly, so you have to be quick as well. And at the same time, I don't know if you really want to live there because you will have so many issues and problems. So if you're really on a budget, I would rather go with room sharing maybe. Find 1, 2, 3 friends that you rent a bigger apartment or an actual house and you just share the rent. This is what I did in Limassol actually. So yes, we had a penthouse for 1000 euros, but I shared it with 2 friends of mine. So my actual rent was 333 euros. And each of us, we had our own rooms. And if you want to have more tips and tricks like that, definitely make sure to subscribe to the channel because I'm talking about that in other videos as well. Now, utility bills, meaning electricity, water and internet. First, electricity. And for that I went into my mailbox and I was looking for the oldest electricity bill and I found one from Q1 2022, so roughly 3 years ago you could say. And I paid 8.7 cents per kilowatt hours, and in my most recent bill I paid 10.6 cents per kilowatt hours, which is a 22.5% increase in the electricity cost in Cyprus in a little under 3 years. Also, in the same bills, the fuel price increased from 687 euros per metric ton to 751 euros per metric ton, an increase of about 9.4%. But why does this even matter? Well, because Cyprus can be extremely hot, and especially in the months of June, July, August, September, you'll want to use your AC most of the times. And this logically costs electricity. And so you definitely want to have a modern and efficient AC model so you don't pay thousands of euros in electricity. Also, when you have a pool, the pump costs electricity. So what I'm trying to say is, by having a modern property, yes, you will pay more in rent, but you will actually save a lot of money in electricity. For instance, the house I'm living in right now is quite modern. I would say it's definitely younger than 10 years. I've been using the AC literally every day. The ACs are also very new, and the electricity bill during peak summer was 123 euros for 2 months. But again, I use my AC literally every day here in the office. And that leads us to the next point, and that is how the utilities are actually charged. So electricity, I already said it, it's every 2 months, and water is every 3 months actually, per quarter. And my water bill in the past 5 years has always been the same, in the range of 10 to 30 euros per 3 months. So by looking at my own consumption and expenses and also talking to many clients and people that I helped relocating to Cyprus, I can say that the water price is definitely not something you have to worry about. And the same goes for internet. I'm using the biggest provider here on the island and I'm younger than 28 years old, so I can apply for the youth discount code. So I pay 20 euros for my Wi-Fi at home and 20 euros for my internet on my phone, the SIM card with unlimited internet, unlimited calls within Cyprus, and basically everything I need. And the internet in Cyprus is surprisingly good. You will be surprised by how fast it is. It's literally better than in Germany. My phone always has at least 4G and in some areas 5G. At home I have a 300k connection, fiber optics, and it's so fast. I'm uploading hundreds of gigabytes of files every month, so I'm definitely above average. I'm not just using it for downloading Netflix or YouTube videos. So I'm very happy with the internet in Cyprus and its costs. So that's about renting a property and the utility costs in Cyprus. Now let's continue with something very interesting and important for quite a few people, and that is buying a property in Cyprus. Because yes, if you come to Cyprus, you first want to rent a property in order to see if you like the area, if you like the country, the people, and all the amenities that we have here. But then if you live in Cyprus, here I see it over and over again, after about 1 year, people always want to buy a property. Either to live inside with their family or as an investment to rent it out, because the ROI is very interesting here. Actually, over the past 5 years, literally every property owner, no matter where the property is located, have seen insane valuation increases of the property. They increase the rent, the ROI, and the yield is going up and up and up. With a nice deal, a nice property, a good location, a good business plan, let's say short-term rental for example, it's not rare that you can achieve 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15% in yield per year. I've literally seen cases where people amortize a property in 5 years. In Germany, this would be almost impossible. Only in the rarest cases where you really find a good deal and you really experience, you can do something like that. And that applies to all kinds of properties in Cyprus, from small apartments to luxury penthouses or mansions. Let's take this apartment complex in Paphos Universal area as an example. It's basically an A location and I recently visited it. It's completely new. It's not even delivered to the client yet. They are still working on the finishes, and you could find a 1-bedroom apartment in a complex like that for as little as 300,000 euros. This specific project is actually sold out, but they have many more projects similar to this one. On the other hand, I also visited this luxury skyscraper in Limassol, where you can find a 1-bedroom apartment for 1 million euros. And depending on your budget, you could even buy the penthouse for a few millions. So as you see, there are many options here in Cyprus, and you will definitely find the ideal property for you and your family depending on your budget. But the important thing is that you have someone on the ground here in Cyprus that you can actually trust and tells you the ins and outs of buying a property, what is the actual fair market value of a property, what are things you need to know in order to avoid mistakes, because it's not rare that locals take advantage of uneducated foreigners. Not just in Cyprus, this is literally the case in any country. So just so you know, if you're interested in purchasing a property, I'd be happy to assist you and connect you to my trustworthy agents, developers, whatever you want, and you can reach out to me via the video description. As you see, I'm really passionate about Cyprus and the real estate market, but this video is about the living costs, so if you want to hear more about the real estate market, definitely make sure to subscribe to the channel and watch the other videos. Now let's continue with the next point, and that is cars and transportation. And there are actually many ways to drive around the island. The most obvious one is to buy a car, but you have to be very, very careful with that. My first car that I bought here in Cyprus was nothing but a headache. As soon as I got it, it started to make problems. I spent more money on fixing the car than I actually paid for the car. Yes, okay, it was a car from 1999, but still, I got definitely scammed by the car dealer. He told me this car has no problems, and a week after I purchased it, I was driving back to the dealer and he charged me 500 euros to fix something. So, if you buy from a car dealer, always go for a guarantee. But what I did with my most recent car is I bought it from a private person. It was an older man and he imported the car by himself a few years ago. I saw that he really took care of the car. He always went to the official Mercedes mechanic, and the interior as well as the exterior looked really good, and also my mechanic confirmed that this car was in an excellent condition. And so I bought the car, a Mercedes SLK, a cabriolet, basically an amazing car for summer, hard top, not a soft top. All the options were there that were possible back in the days, and I paid 9,500 euros. I have the car exactly 1 year now and I'm more than happy with it. I didn't have a single problem. Woo! But since this is a two-seater, I also wanted a bigger car. And so I also have a second car which I lease from a leasing company. And the good thing is, this is a super modern car, actually from last year, and they cover all the costs and I can change it anytime to another car of that class. I pay 710 euros for the Cupra at the moment, and there are many car rental and leasing options in Cyprus, so I don't really want to make an advertisement. You can just find it yourself, or you can reach out to me via the video description if you really want to know where I'm renting my car from. Now, listen carefully, because if you're coming to Cyprus for the first time, I have a pro tip for you. And that is definitely download the app right now, because then you can just jump into any car and drive around for like 1-2 euros per 10 minutes, and it's so much more convenient than a taxi. Also, the company has so many cars around the island, and every city you can find a car within 10 to 15 minutes of walking. And also at the airport there are 20 cars, so when you arrive in Cyprus you don't need a taxi. Just download the app, jump into a right now car and drive to your Airbnb or hotel. Yes, Cyprus also offers a bus infrastructure, but I personally don't like to drive buses anymore. It's just a big headache. You don't know if the buses are coming, you don't know if they're on time. It's smelly inside most of the times. There is no Wi-Fi, and so I just prefer to use right now or my own car because I live here, and I definitely recommend you that. However, if you like driving buses, it's about 3 euros to go from Paphos to Limassol, so the neighbor city, and about 8 euros to go to Larnaca, so an even further away city. It's about 140 minutes with your own car and about 2 hours with the bus, because you have to do many stops. Now, lifestyle and fun, and this summer I really did a lot in Cyprus. I rented yachts, I rented jet skis, I learned wake surfing, I celebrated my birthday in a very big way. I went to the zoo, I visited business events, network gatherings, football games, concerts and festivals. I also registered myself in a gym for the first time, and I just spent a lot of money in general. I really wanted to enjoy life this summer. And it was definitely an interesting experience, but also a costly one. Never in my life have I spent so much money like this year, so it's actually not really a good benchmark for the average person, I would say, unless you also like to do amazing things on a daily basis. But I'll try to make the best out of it and give you specific examples of fun activities that you can do here in Cyprus and how much it costs exactly. First, a full day yacht charter in Polis, which is my favorite area here in Cyprus, with the Blue Lagoon, with a captain for 6 hours and 2 jet skis, costs about 3,000 euros. A smaller boat for, let's say, wake surfing costs about 100 euros per hour per person. Celebrating your birthday, a big party and probably the best beach club in Cyprus with many bottles and food and drinks where you don't care about what people order, cost me 2,000 euros. But it was fun. Now, some more day-to-day activities are: 1. The gym membership, which is quite expensive here in Cyprus actually, especially if I compare it to Germany. My old gym in Paphos Center was 75 euros per month, and to be completely blunt, it wasn't really a good gym actually. My current one is 55 euros and much better because it's sponsored by a big German supplement brand, and they have amazing machines in there. I literally love this gym. Next is visiting the cinema, and it's 10 euros per person, but I don't really recommend the cinemas in Cyprus. At least the ones I've been to are always dirty. There are always kids that are so loud that you can't really enjoy the movie. I would much rather recommend you to go to a beach cinema in summer, where you can watch a movie in front of the beach with headphones and watching the sunset on the right side. This was literally one of the most fun activities that I did this summer, and it was so cheap. It's 18 euros per adult and 12 euros per child. So you see, you don't really have to spend thousands of euros in order to have fun here in Cyprus. You can go to the water park, which is about 30 euros per adult and 20 euros per kid. You can go to the Paphos Zoo, which is 17 euros at the moment. And you can even go to entrepreneurs event for networking, let's say. The biggest entrepreneurs event in Cyprus was 179 euros for a day pass, and it was definitely worth visiting. You can definitely make good connections there. You literally meet all the big companies that are located in Cyprus, and you can really expand your business network. Also, the nightlife in Cyprus is really improving each year. You have obviously Ayia Napa, which is huge, especially during summer. You have so many different clubs, bars, etc. But also Limassol offers very big concerts and festivals. I was in a festival this year from the biggest Russian rapper Morgenstern, and the day pass was just 80 euros, which is definitely fair in my eyes. It's the international standard for a big rapper. We even had Ed Sheeran here in Cyprus this year, and he had a concert in Larnaca, and the ticket was, I think, something around 100 euros. I didn't go there because I was busy, but I think this is definitely a big name, and it shows you that Cyprus is becoming bigger and bigger on international radar. So yeah, I hope this gave you an overview of what you can do here in Cyprus, how much it costs to live here, to have fun here, to go out, to eat here. And the funniest thing is, in the 2021 video, my monthly fixed costs were 840 euros. And yes, this was 100% real and correct. When I came to Cyprus, I was living in a small apartment with my girlfriend back then, and my 2 business partners just left the country. So I was in a very weird situation. I didn't know what I should do. We had the pandemic, and so we literally spent 99% of our times at home, eating food from Lidl and paying 470 euros in rent. We never went out. We stayed at home for literally 2 years, focusing on business and personal development. And just now it's where I have a monthly fixed cost of 3,706 euros as per Revolut, and I have 2 cars, 1 motorbike, a house with sea view, and I feel amazing. Yes, I definitely spend a bit too much money maybe this year here in Cyprus, but who cares, you only live once. I definitely had a lot of fun this summer. I made a lot of memories, and who wants to be 60 with no memories? Probably just some weirdos. My goal number for you if you want to relocate to Cyprus in 2025, 2026 and onwards is 2,000 euros at the moment. This is what you need every month in order to live comfortable here in Cyprus. And if you want to hear more about living in Cyprus, definitely make sure to subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next video.